I'm working on Bach's Prelude and Fugue in C sharp major. This is BWV 848. Today I'll be working on the second page of the Fugue. I have done bits and pieces of it in the past. I think, in fact, I've done the entire page, but I've only done it bar by bar. So today I'm going to see how much I remember of it and also if I can uh, connect it more from one bar to the next. My goal is to be able to play the entire page by the end of the week. So let me see how much I'm able to do today. So it starts off forte and one note is connected from the previous page. So I'm going to start with the one note that's connected from the previous page just so that I get used to any ties or any big stretches. The last chord I played with the with incorrect finger numbers, and that does make a difference because I have to lead into the chord after that. I shouldn't call it a chord, I should call it a harmony. So let me try that again. Okay, so the last bar I went wrong. Let me go again, and this time I want to check what my tempo is. So I didn't realize after I started it out that I didn't start with the tied note from the previous bar. Ideally, I want to do that as well. So let me go again and see what tempo I played at. Not too fast. Okay, my note was wrong there, but I think I'm playing it at quaver equal to 60, and the final tempo is crotchet equal to 104. So I'm a little over 50% tempo at this moment. That's fine. Also, I'm a little more comfortable with the first couple of lines because I just practiced them yesterday. I think I'll end up slowing down a lot more towards the end of this page. But anyway, I'm just going to go through the first three lines maybe today. Let's see how much I can get to. So I'm going to go again and see if I can play it well at quaver equal to 60. Okay, this is the second time I'm making a mistake when leading into the third bar of the first line. So, what I'm going to practice is uh, just the last beat of the second bar into the first beat of the third bar. maybe a little bit of the second line just so that I can make sure I can go from the first line to the second without stopping in between. So 60 seems to be working well for the first line. I'm going to try it a couple of times to just make sure that everything's fine and then move on to the next line. Good. I'm going to stop at that point. 60 seems to be quite comfortable. I'm curious to see if I can maybe get it faster. Ideally, I what I believe is until you get it to about 80% tempo, you don't really know the full story. Going from 80% to 100% tempo sometimes is easy, but going from 50 to 80 can reveal certain technical challenges that the piece might have. Now, I know 50% and 80% are just arbitrary percentages, but I do feel that moving through that range can reveal a lot. So I'm not even sure if I'm playing it with the best technique that would help me play it at a fast tempo. I've noticed with myself that with Bach, I become very finger dependent and I stop using my arm weight and wrist movement as much. That's a potential problem I can foresee for myself. But what I'm going to do is see if I can get to 80% tempo, maybe not today, but if by the end of the week I get comfortable with these few lines and I'm able to take it up to 80% tempo, I think that can reveal a good amount of information to me. So just checking to see what 80% tempo is. Okay, definitely not there in terms of being able to play it, but sometimes I do try to go to a faster tempo just so that I can see uh, if there's any technical challenges that can come up, which I should start working on right from the start. Of course, I haven't even gotten used to the notes enough to be able to play it at that fast tempo, and so at this moment I can't, gather much information. So let me go again. This time at 65. Uh, Played the last bar wrong. Let it go again. Okay. The last bar, what I played wrong the previous time was again the finger number. Instead of playing 1 4, I was playing 1 5. Okay, let me go again at 65. I think 65 is all right, and if I'm able to play it at 65, I'll consider going on to the next line. on to the next line. I did try to play a few beats, or rather, just a couple of times while I was playing, I incorporated the first bar of the second line. The reason for this is sometimes when you learn music bar by bar or line by line, it becomes a bit of a task to connect lines to each other, and play it in a flow. This also sometimes happens where you tackle a piece page by page and then you're not able to connect one page to the next very easily. So I try to incorporate the first beat of the next measure whenever I'm playing, a particular section. So again, here the second, the last note of the first line is tied to the first note of the second line, and so I'm going to start with that note. Okay, I realized I've been making a mistake. For some reason, I've been holding on to the B sharp for almost like it's tied, which is incorrect. So I have to correct that. So again, going from the last note of the first line. I think that's correct. I'm going to play that at a slow tempo, let's say 55. So starting with the previous line, the last beat, last note into this. Okay, definitely not going to add in the last bar right now. Although the second bar, I did seem to recollect what were the notes. So what I'll do now is I'm going to start again with the first bar, and this time see if I can go into the second bar slowly and then at the same tempo, which is 55. Okay, I just realized that there were two notes which I'm playing with incorrect rhythm, the two quavers in between. In beat two, I'm playing them as semi-quavers. I think I was. So let me check again. seems fine now. Again, I tried playing the last bar, which I shouldn't have ideally. I should have just stopped with the first beat. But let me go again from the first bar of the line. I'm going to stop with that. So again, let's go with that again. Figuring went wrong between the when moving from the second to the third bar. So let me try that again. Okay, good. That was much better. Let me see if I can play with the metronome. Once more. Okay, my fingering went wrong there again, but this time rather than starting with the first bar, I'm going to just start with the second bar. So just the last two bars of that line plus just the first semi-quaver uh, beat of the first bar in the third line. So no, without the metronome. Okay, not bad. Let me go again. Again. So the notes were fine when I played it, but then I realized that I used the wrong finger number on one of the notes. So that's why I tried to correct that. But I think it's just best for me to try it again. So it's the last half of the third bar that's essentially going wrong. So let me just try that bit. I think that's a lot better. I'm going to see if I can try the line through. And again, like the previous line, I'm going to check if I can get it up to 65 instead of 55. Good. The notes are fine. I have ignored the diminuendo in between. So let me try faster, and this time if I can keep the dynamics written in, because it ends with a piano. So I'm gonna have to go from a forte to piano through this line. Okay, my crescendo, decrescendo or diminuendo was not very gradual through all of it. I was still thinking a lot about the notes rather than the expression that needs to be brought out. So let me try that again. I think that was a lot better. I'm still not completely relating to what style needs to be brought out, but of course, it'll make a lot more sense when I've added in more of the piece. Um, I think I'm gonna go again at 60 because I just realized I played it but without the metronome. So let me go again with the dynamics at 60. Good, that sounded all right. Let me try at 65. That sounded good. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break here and then come back and do the next two lines. So far, I'm happy with the first two lines. Actually, I might try and see if I can play both lines one after the other. I'm going to give it a try at 65. If it doesn't work out, I'll try out the first line again and then add in the second line. Okay, I'm not happy with that because I had to lift my finger off to scroll down, which means I let go of the tied note. So let me go again. This time I just need to remember the first note so that I can keep entire the two lines open for myself so I don't have to scroll down. That sounded all right to me. I'm wondering whether I should try it a little faster before moving on or whether to move on. I think I'm going to give it a try at 70. There is one slightly awkward hand position that I noticed is coming up. That's in the last bar of the second line. That switch from C sharp in with the second finger to the fifth finger, although it's not written in order to connect it, I'll have to do that. Mm, yeah, it is a little awkward. Let me see what I can do about it. As of now, I'm going to leave it as is. Who knows, it might be a hand position that is comfortable with a little bit of practice. But if it starts to get uncomfortable, I'm just going to change it. Maybe avoid holding the note even though it's written in. But basically, I would want to do something that doesn't affect the rest of the piece musically, but also doesn't affect me physically. Because if there's a hand position that's a little awkward and uncomfortable, rather than making sure it's there, and that could later on cause problems in terms of being able to play the correct notes or uh, being able to play it with a good musical quality. If that starts to get affected, then I'll probably have to change that up. So now I'm going to try it again at 75. on to the next two lines.